Good evening and welcome to another episode of Raise the Bar, the Sky High and Fly Jump Camps podcast. I'm your host, Troy Haines, former UCLA high jumper and long time coach. And tonight, it's going to be my pleasure to talk to a young man from New York, Aden Bedford, who is a senior at a prep school in New York. He is a 6'6" high jumper and hurdler, but he's also putting his designs on becoming a decathlete. So he's done pole vault and he's done a lot of these other events. I don't know if he's done a full decathlon as of yet, but he is headed that way. So his goals are to jump over 6'10" in the high jump and to continue to get better at all his other events. And so we are going to be talking to him here in a short minute. So stay tuned and be ready to listen to our interview with Aden Bedford. Welcome to another episode of Raise the Bar. My name's Troy Haines. This is the Sky High and Fly Jump Camps podcast. And my guest tonight is Aden Bedford from New York. Why don't you tell everybody where from New York you're in? Because all of us out here in California, unless we've been to New York, we don't know as much about it as you do.
So first, thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah.
Very happy to be here. So I'm from Westchester, New York. I go to school in the Bronx, so not too far away from Westchester. But yeah, that's where I'm based. Not too far from the city, which is probably a more well-known location for you guys out there.
Right. Now that accent I'm picking up sounds British. So where are you originally
Um,
from?
I was born in South Africa
South
originally.
Africa. Okay.
South Africa, yes.
Right.
And then yeah, moved here a couple of years ago.
Okay. Awesome. And then I was looking at you were persistent staying after me. You asked me to post you a while back, and I think to be honest, this happens more than too many times. I've had, people get in contact with me, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do a post, and sometimes I get, well, let me dig up some videos,
Mhm.
and then I've got athletes on Instagram. I got people that are reaching out all the time business wise, and just sometimes things just go way down the line,
Right.
and I'll go searching for them later and I can't find them. It's like I swear there's somebody playing games with me, like I had this one Russian guy a couple of months ago that I've still got the videos, and I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to post this guy, and I'm like, now where's his story? And then I'm like, didn't he send me an email or something? He's like, I need like two or three secretaries, because I'm
Gets
terrible
lost.
with all the little details. So, um,
Right.
so you came from South Africa. Now, what did you in South Africa? What sports did you do before you came here to the States?
So I grew up playing rugby.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, I played a lot of different sports, soccer, cricket back there,
Right,
rugby. I never did track over there. And then we moved to the States, and I continued with rugby throughout middle school,
right,
and then high school. I still played rugby freshman year, and I realized
right,
rugby's not going to get me anywhere for college.
right.
And I realized, okay, I can jump, I can run. Let me try track.
So you didn't
Um,
you didn't put all your eggs in the cricket basket when you got here.
no, I
Is
didn't.
there anything like that over here? Is there any kind of cricket for anybody? They're
Um,
trying to find
I
it.
I have seen a couple places that do cricket.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it's not something I'm going to chase after.
No, I was joking,
Um,
obviously, but yeah, I was curious on the one hand because I have always seen clips of it on TV or on
right.
online. I've never seen cricket live, so
Hmm.
yeah, I was just curious, but okay, continue on.
So then freshman year of high school, I started track. So at first I did rugby that season, and I decided to start with cross country.
Right.
It seemed like, okay, let me try this out. I haven't done cross country since.
Right.
So then I switched over to hurdles was actually my first other event, and then I
Right.
realized, okay, I can pretty decent at a couple events.
Yeah.
So then I got into long jump and high jump and pole vault, and then now here we are today me being a decathlete. I can definitely say that high jump and hurdles, but more high jump is one of my favorite
Right.
events. But it's also the one I've seen the most growth in throughout the
Okay.
years. So it's definitely one I enjoy more
So
within the deck.
yeah, the deck is a different animal for sure because
Right.
especially in high school, like out here in California, they don't do the decathlon anywhere. So it's,
Mhm.
either Junior Olympics in the summer.
Right.
And I'm still not sure that they even do the whole 10. I think they might do five or something.
Hmm. They do
Either a
the
pentathlon,
pentathlon.
right?
Right. I do
Or
that as
maybe a
well.
heptathlon, depends, right? And then like out here on the NIAI level and NAIA, and yeah, NAIA that I'm coaching at, they have indoor, and in the indoor they only do the heptathlon for the guys and the pentathlon for the girls. And then when they
Right.
switch it around to the end of the season, they get to, outdoors, they go to the regular numbers. And then um but yeah, the decathlon is just a different animal. You've run the this is interesting. We've never really talked about this on this podcast before, but the differences in how you think and how you feel in athletics. Like I have football coaches and friends that would say golf's not a sport, right? They go,
Hmm.
golf's not a real sport. You don't have to be athletic to hit a golf ball. I'm like, well, okay, yeah. There's some guys that I would say are probably pretty unathletic, but they're really good at golf. And then there's some guys that are really athletic that are good at golf. And it's like,
Right.
so then, what is it exactly that qualifies as sport to you, right? And then you mentioned cross country, and no
Hmm.
offense to cross country runners out there, but I know nothing. I mean, and I've got a degree in kinesiology from UCLA, and I've got a master's in exercise science. And when I say I know nothing about distance running, I mean it. I mean,
Right.
it's just I don't. I knew all the guys at UCLA. We had great distance runners when they were there. It's the only discipline that, as I've watched, and I love watching all the throws. I love watching all the
Hmm.
jumps. I pole vaulted. I did the high jump and the long jump a little bit in high school. I never did the long jump in high school, but I started doing the long jump before I did anything else. And I was like, I found everything really super interesting. All the field events for sure. Running is not so interesting, but I understand the explosive nature of it, and it's important
Right.
to what you and I do as high jumpers, and it's important to long and triple, obviously, and pole vaulters. So, all that comes in there. But it's like I just, I really, I've never found it like the thing that I have to wrap my brain around. And I've had
Right.
people go, "Don't you ever want to be a head coach?" And I'm like, I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, I could be, but I'm like, I'd need to find somebody to do the distances, because I literally have not one clue. I don't have any clue how they train. I don't have any clue, do they need to lift weights? I don't have a
Right.
clue about how you eat, like any of it. So,
Nothing.
but I think mostly it was because I wasn't that guy. Like you
Hmm.
amazingly went through and did a season. Like if they said, we're going to run 5 miles, I'm like, oh no, no, that's like a month of running for me.
Right.
You know?
So yeah, I was in the same boat. So I didn't do like the 5K or like the long distances. I stuck to the mile.
Hmm.
Um, and to be honest, I think freshman year I thought that I could go to college for the mile because I was pretty good at it.
Right.
But it was causing knee pains and some injuries I didn't want to have to deal with.
Right.
So I gave that up. But then coming back to the deck and multis, I've had to like kind of retap that talent maybe or that
Hmm.
the exercises. Because you can't just train for high jump.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to do and train for multiple different
Yeah.
um things and skills.
I totally admire the whole decathlon thing. I mean, I don't know that I've ever officially been a multis coach, but I have helped coach the multis at,
Hmm.
this at the NAI that I work at, which is Vanguard University here in Southern California. So I help the multis with their high jump, long jump, um,
Right.
a couple of them with the pole vault. And I'm fascinated by all those. I wouldn't mind doing that job. To be honest,
Yeah.
I've seen enough good shot, disc. The jab's another one that I find fascinating, but I messed up my elbow in high school. And the first time I tried to throw a javelin, it started spinning around like a helicopter. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, wait a minute, what? Because I could throw anything else. I'm an American. I can throw
Right.
a baseball. I can throw a football. There's all kinds of things I can do, but not a javelin apparently.
Not the
So,
jab.
but it's for those of you out there, and we're listening to Aden Bedford here on the Sky High and Fly Jump Camps podcast, Raise the Bar. He gets to raise the bar in both the high jump and the pole vault, but then everything else, man. The decathletes are so hardworking and organized. The ones that I've met, like they really don't mess around. They come to see
Yeah.
me. Like I don't come to see them
Hmm.
and say, what's the workout today? They go, Coach, we're going to come see you. And at 4:45, we're going to do this. And then you're going to have us for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to go over here and do the javelin. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get to work.
Right.
And it's like, so I got you for 30 minutes. Let's see what I
Hmm.
can cram into those heads of yours, So very organized, very diligent. And if you've never watched a decathlon, it's really grueling. When I
Hmm.
watch it, I'm like, my first instinct is I think all decathletes are probably overtrained. So I'm like, how would because I don't know if you've ever heard this, Aiden, but they usually say, especially for Californians like me, long haired Californian, they go, oh, you look like a surfer guy. You're a bum. You'd be a good high jumper. Like high jumpers are lazy, right? Because they go,
Hmm.
everybody else likes to run. High jumpers don't like to run. They just like to jump.
Right.
Yeah, that's me. I didn't mind running if we were playing football. I didn't mind running around the bases in baseball, right? But when
Right.
you got to the conditioning part of practice, let's
Hmm.
start running some wind sprints. Like, no. I'm not
Let's
crazy about
just go
wind
jump a
sprints.
little bit.
I'm not really crazy about wind sprints. I don't like running that
Hmm.
much. If I got to
Right.
run after a tennis ball, sure, I'll go run after it and hit it. It's like running is a necessary evil when it comes to conditioning. When it comes
Right.
to whatever sport you're doing, then hey, I'm
Hmm.
all about it, man. I got to get from here to there as fast as I can. So
Right.
that's but yeah, the amount of work that goes into it for you guys. So now in New York, can you do more than 4 events? Because here in California, you can only do 4 events in high school. Do you have the 4 event limit in New York also?
So at each meet, we're allowed to do two.
Mm-hmm.
Some meets you can do three. But let's just say I was gonna do a deck at a meet. I can also, in addition to the decathlon, I can do another event.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what actually happened at my first indoor pentathlon. I hadn't done it all year, and then at Nike Indoor Nationals, I said, you know what, let me just give it a shot. So I signed myself up for the pent.
Mm-hmm.
And that same day, which I was doing 5 events already. And that same day I was doing the shuttle relays with my team for hurdles. So I was doing 6 events in that day. Um, but I think for us we can do two
Mm-hmm.
events each meet. Some meets are three. Really depends on what that meet's allowing,
Right.
and what regulations they have.
Yeah. Well,
Four,
here,
four, four would be
yeah.
nice though.
Well, four is just any dual meet, which are depends on the league or the conference or whatever, uh,
Right.
whether or not they're actually doing dual meets anymore. A lot of districts have said, heck with it. We don't want to travel to all these different places just to have two teams together. So they'll
Hmm.
have, either everybody in the district gets together a bunch of times, and then you're just trying to qualify for the meet at the end, where you do have your league championship or whatever, because you have to decide who's going to go to state, or who's going to
Right.
continue on towards the push towards state at least. But yeah, they will let us do 4 out here, and then but you can't go over. So if you ever did 5, you would be disqualified from all. 4 is plenty, obviously, for a
Hmm.
lot of people. We had an athlete out here, Megan Humphreys, who was in the high jump, long jump, triple jump, and also ran the 100 or the 200. I can't remember, one or the
It's
other. Now she
insane.
could probably do all of them too. She's a dynamic little athlete. She's got herself I think she signed with Texas, but at the state meet last year, like she placed in all 4 but didn't win. Any.
Right.
Um, so that's what I was curious about. on that side.
Mm.
So then take us through what's your best high jump to date?
6'6".
6'6". This is your junior year or your senior year?
Senior year.
This is your senior year. So this is your
Yes.
your third and final year of track in high school.
Right.
And then
Last year.
your goal is to jump 6'10", I saw. Was that right?
6'10", that's my goal. Um, I think 6'10". I think I'll probably settle for 6'10".
Right.
Maybe
How
if I
tall are you?
was, I'm 5'11".
5'11". Nice. So jumping almost a foot over your own head, that definitely qualifies you as a high jumper. My number one jumper is Barbara Bachaka from Canada, and she and I have that running joke. It's like, okay, you have to jump over your head to be an official high jumper, which may sound demeaning. But yeah,
It's
there's
true.
who is the guy that Stefan Holm is your height, 5'11", and he jumped 7'11" and a half from Sweden. I think he won the Olympics in either 2000 or 2004. But yeah, he's one of those guys. I don't know if you've ever seen him on your feed on Instagram. If you look him up,
I
Steph,
might have.
he has a drill where he runs and he does hurdles. He puts these hurdles up that are taller,
Oh yeah. Okay, yes. I've
like
seen,
6 feet
it
high,
might have been him,
and
but
he's running
I've definitely
straight,
seen this.
and you can see the knee drive go across,
Hmm.
but then he straightens it out as he's going up, and he literally doesn't really have to even hunch over that much. The guy's amazing. He's just like 1, 2, 3, bam, and he's got air.
Explosive.
And then he
Right.
cycles somehow and he hits the ground running and does another one. And it's like, oh,
Hmm.
I was watching that. I'm like, yeah, no wonder he jumps 7'11". That guy's amazing.
Uh,
Amazing knee drive. I use his knee drive as a teaching point for my
mhm.
kids. It's like, dude, that knee drive comes up and across better than anything I've seen. It's like, forget about it. So you like the high jump and you want
I
to go
do.
10 and then pole vault. Talk about how did that get started? Because usually not a great double at a lot of places. Like when I was in high school, pole vault too, and they were on
No.
opposite ends of the track.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So pole vault, I started sophomore year of high school indoor season. And I actually fractured my back from that.
Ooh.
So I was out for outdoor season. For most of outdoor season, I came back like the last week or two.
Mm-hmm.
So really through that period, I wasn't doing much at all. And then junior year, I decided to lay low on that, not do pole vault just in
Right.
case of more injury.
Right.
And now senior years, yeah, I probably won't do too much pole vault,
Save
indoor.
it for the decathlon.
Right, I'll save it for outdoor.
Yeah.
I'd rather get injured outdoor than indoor.
Right. Indoor's so
So
crowded. It's kind of scary.
no, I love indoor. It's like it's crowded, yes, but you feel the atmosphere, like you
Oh yeah.
feel the
Yeah.
live energy more than you would when it's outdoor.
Yeah. I
Um,
wish I'd had that experience. We have so few indoor places out here in California, and the only two that I ever jumped at, I hated both of them. So it was entirely different. I don't know what it is.
yeah, you're lucky to have nice warm weather though, almost all year round. So.
Right? That's what I was telling everybody. You know why they don't have indoor facilities out here? We don't need them.
Right.
Never
I
rain.
wouldn't mind the weather.
Yeah, yeah. So
So yes, pole vault. I'll probably get back onto outdoor season. Maybe I'll do a couple jumps at a meet or something indoor.
mhm,
So sophomore year, I jumped 8 feet. Wasn't amazing.
right.
And then didn't do it for a while. Then at my first deck, I don't know, they were playing some nice music and I liked it and I was feeling it. And I jumped 12 feet. So that was
Wow.
a big thing for me in that
A
moment.
huge PR from 8 to
Right,
12. Great.
right. Um, so I was happy with that. And then I haven't done any since. My goal for pole vault, I'd say, I mean, realistically, probably like
Right.
13, like like 13 something.
Right.
But my reach goal maybe 14, 15.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know how realistic that is as of right now.
Right.
But I definitely during college, I'd hope to be jumping 14, 15.
We just got to talk to whoever's mixing the music, man. Get it
I
popping, you know?
I know, I know. They just need to play good music and I'll do
Do you
well.
remember what it was? What was playing?
I think it was some 80s. and I don't remember the song, but I was feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt it, and I
All right.
jumped, and I was like, whoa, okay, that
Oh,
worked.
that's good because all my reels now have 80s white guy music. It's
Yeah, I
championed by me because I'm an 80s white guy. But yeah, I got play all that stuff.
definitely been getting into the 80s,
So
80s to early 2000s.
what was I going to ask you? Something piddling, but when you fractured your back, I know as far as the spine is concerned, you've got
Hmm.
transverse processes, you've got a spinous process, you've got a medullary cavity right down the middle, and then
Hmm.
you've got the body of the vertebrae, which is the bigger part. And it's,
Hmm.
it's very different than long bones or the other kinds of bones,
Right.
like frontal bones, or I mean, what do they call them? Cranial bones. So, which part of the back and like, was it in your neck? Was it in your ribs? Was it in your low back? Or was it in your
Um,
tailbone?
so it was lower back.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't remember the exact name for it. I could probably
Okay.
look it up.
L1
But
through L5, one of those five.
I
Yeah.
think it was four. I think it was
Lumbar
four.
four. Okay.
I think
And
so.
was it the process or was it the body itself?
Um, I couldn't jump,
Okay.
so I
Yeah.
would I think it might have been the body. I'm not exactly
Yeah, the
100% sure.
body usually is harder to fracture, but they do when they get pushed together. So like if you
Hmm.
compacted like
Yeah.
that, then you can break the body. Then the spinous process is the ones that just kind of can chip off or
Hmm.
snap.
Well, I fractured my back from hyperextending it. Um,
Okay.
so my back couldn't handle the
Yeah.
explosiveness that I was producing, so
Right.
it decided to bail on me.
Oh, so that was the other
uh,
thing I was going to ask you was how crazy exactly do you think it takes to be a pole vaulter? Like I had a little bit of that craziness gene, but I
mhm.
keep thinking as the bar gets higher and higher, I think it's crazier
um,
and crazier.
I think I think it's very similar to when you do high jump with like the box.
Hmm.
When you get that high up in the air, you just feel like that sense of like, geez, I'm flying.
Uh-huh.
And now put that feeling that you get in high jump on steroids, and you're like, whoa, no shot. I just jumped
Yeah.
12 feet even.
Yeah.
That's double the height I'm doing in high jump, and
Yep.
you really feel it. And
Sure.
then as it gets higher, you just like, okay, I'm just gonna keep getting this, keep getting. Very, very similar to a high jump. Just exaggerated.
Right. No, I like that analogy, Aiden, because when as I'm teaching vault and I'm learning more and more about the vault, because we actually didn't have a coach when I was in high school. And then when I was at UCLA, I got to watch Coach Anthony Curran coach for all the years I was there, and then he was there for a long time, and he coached all kinds of really great vaulters. So there's a few things that stuck in my head, and then as when I started coaching again, I would go to his clinics, and just sit and listen because I
Right.
figured else can teach me other than old coach. And
Hmm.
the thing that came out to me, the more I learned, the more parallels I find between pole vaulting and high jumping. Like I
Right.
can find so many analogies, from
Hmm.
driving the knee at the takeoff. I'm like, hey, yeah, leave that knee
And
up.
and
It's
even
like,
the last
you know,
step that you're taking, it
mm-hmm,
has to be decisive, explosive.
right.
They're pretty similar.
Yeah, lots of things, and then one of the most sequential events ever created. I mean, all the field events tend to be like that. Like, you can't throw the disc until you're done spinning, right? You can't.
Hmm.
Same thing with the shot. With a pole vault, it's like you can't rock back until you've hit your plant. And
Right.
you can't do that until you run down the runway. It's like
Hmm.
teach those kids in the high jump, like, okay, you got to run straight, you got to run a curve, and you got to jump, then you got to fly,
Right.
and then you got to lay out. You can't
Hmm.
change the order. You can't
Right.
flip anything around. So it makes you do certain things. Now, how you do those things in that order is still,
Hmm.
you know, can
Matters.
change depending on who's coaching you how to do it.
100%.
Absolutely. So, what are the places that you've considered going on to in college? Since you're a 6'6" high jumper, you jump 6'6", 6'8", 6'10", lots of places now. Back when I
Right.
was jumping, they would laugh you out of the building if you said you wanted to go to a major school with that, but things have changed in the
Right.
last 10 or 15 years. So I would think with 6'6", you got to have people knocking on your door already. And
Um,
15 feet in the pole vault and all that.
right. Um, I've been looking at a lot of pretty big names.
Hmm.
And I know for a fact 6'6" isn't getting me anyway.
Hmm.
Most recruitment standards are 7 feet.
Right.
So I'm not lying to myself saying, oh, I might get into, let's just say, UCLA with 6'6". But I think the one thing that I might have an edge on, compared to a 7 foot jumper, is that I can, yes, jump 6'6", but also do these 9 other events.
Right.
So I think the more I grow in each event, uh the more competitive I'll be, and I'll be a better applicant for different colleges.
So you're thinking of doing the decathlon and then maybe continuing on with the open, high jump and
Right.
hurdle, those something like that.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So what out of all those events that are in the decathlon, what's your weakest event? The one you're just like, oh no, this just doesn't work at all for me.
Right. Well, being 5'11" and 150 pounds, definitely the throws.
Hmm.
I'm not great at those. So those are also ones I need to work on the most. But for indoor shot put, doesn't count towards many points.
Hmm.
So the difference between a 30-foot throw and a 40-foot throw is the points aren't that significant. So I haven't been focusing too much on that. But I'd say probably it's either between jav or discus.
Right.
Shot put I'm a little bit more comfortable with because of indoor practice and stuff, but it's definitely one of those two.
Right.
I'd say
Okay.
the most painful though is definitely the 1500 at the end.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because you don't have to run cross country anymore. So
I know. But regarding training for that, so I don't do any distance training, just because they'll mess up my speed for the other events that I need to do,
right.
be quicker in. So it's more of just speed endurance. So like we
Right.
do a 400, a 300, a 150, a 100, a 50, back at it.
Yeah.
Um, so I know I'm not going out running 5 miles each
Right.
day.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Interesting. So I had a guy on right before the school year ended last year. His name's Coach Tony Holler. He's from Illinois, and he's branded his philosophy, which I don't know if he created it or if he
Mm,
modified it, or if it just all crystallized and came to him. Which I'd love to ask him if I can get him on another podcast. Was kind of how he came up with it, but he calls his theory is called feed the cats, and he says that for sprinting, even his guys that run 400 and 800s and stuff like that, he says the most they ever run at a workout would be like, I've heard him say 250 or 200, or
hmm
something like that. And the thing that he hit me with that I like is, number one, I'm a high jumper, right? And I ran, remember my high school approach was 60 by 20 feet,
hmm
20 feet wide, 60 feet back. And then the guys at UCLA crunched my turn down to like 13 or 14 feet. And then, I don't think I went any farther back. I was never a speed merchant by any
Right.
means, but I didn't run real far. I mean, when we used to run 150s, I wasn't even crazy about those. I
hmm
liked 100 meters, 50 meters, whatever. So I started to learn about the whole speed endurance thing. But anyway, Tony's philosophy of feed the cats is like, hey, run fast and
hmm
recover,
Right.
and run fast again. He said there's no point in being half dead and trying to run fast. He goes, that's not,
hmm
if you're interested in being fast, you got to run fast. There's no
Right.
point in running slow. And I find that interesting. So he's like, if you watch a cat like a cheetah, when they run and they hunt something, they run and either they catch it and they kill it, at which point they're still sitting there hyperventilating for like an hour. Or if they miss, they sit there and do the same. They're just sitting
Right.
and hyperventilate. They got to recover because it costs them so much energy to run 70 miles an hour.
hmm
So that's his philosophy. And the key thing he told me was, he goes, um, endurance doesn't build speed.
No,
Speed
it's
can build
speed builds in
endurance.
exactly.
Yeah. So I when he said that, I was like, dude, you are like my guru. I'm like, I'm gonna base all my sprint, thinking
Right.
high jump, long jump, triple jump,
No, it's accurate.
pole vault, because yeah, I mean, what am I running a 400 for? Ever.
Hmm. Well,
How many times
yeah,
am I going to run 400 meters to the bar? Never. You know.
right,
So yeah, it's all dependent. It's interesting too that you said that thing about you just don't train for the 1600 because it's the wrong kind of training for your
right.
stuff.
Hmm.
So
You kind of just get to it and you give everything you have left and you try not to die on the first lap.
right, right. So what was it? I saw something that said it was something cute about being a decathlete, and it basically said the decathlon is 9 events, and then the you know like you said, surviving through the mile,
Right.
something like that. It was clever. I just can't remember it, so it's pointless to
Hmm.
bring it up. I
Yeah,
can't remember what it
I'm
was. It's
lucky
on a
to
T-shirt or something.
I'm lucky enough to have now looking back on my high school track career. I'm pretty thankful that I did do cross country freshman
Mhm.
year. Because it definitely has given me an awareness of what I can do.
Right.
So this season, so freshman year, I ran a 5:05 mile. So now if I can run like even a 5:20 or match my
Right.
PR, my goal is to go sub 5 eventually before I graduate. But if I know that I've done 5:05 before,
Hmm.
and I'm stronger now. I'm taller. I'm more explosive. I'm fitter. So I think for me, after my 9 events, as long as I leave a little bit left in the tank,
Yeah.
I can definitely go out there and make it a more of a stronger event than I think.
Yeah. No, I so admire the decathletes because I think it just takes a different mindset. You got to
Hmm.
be tough, number one. You got to be diligent. You got to work hard. You got to listen to your body. You got
Right.
you got to know so many things. I mean,
Hmm.
I think about that. I go, how can we avoid training all of them all the time? Like,
Hmm.
is there, where are the common grounds that we can meet on,
Right.
and kind of consolidate a little bit so that, I mean, overtraining has got to be just the biggest obstacle I see, with,
Hmm.
oh, I got to go lift weights, and yeah, we got to do a little bit more running and this and that. I'm like, you know what?
Right.
You gotta
Well,
be
for
so
me,
careful.
for indoor, so Mondays I would do hurdles and then high jump. So it's not two jumping events. And then Tuesday I would do a running workout and long jump. That way because if I can jump pretty far and long jump with muscle fatigue, I should be fine on
Right,
the day. And then every now and then we just kind of throw shot put in there.
right.
But like usually it's weights in the morning, before school starts, go through my day, and then practice after school.
Yeah. So now you were mentioning you didn't think your high jump was enough to get into the big schools, but how's it on the decathlon level? Or do you have more interest
Right.
in using
So on average, um, in high school at least, I haven't really looked too much into college. But what I've seen so far is the average high jump height in a decathlon will be around 6'2", 6'3". So what I've been working on recently is I'll do 4 events. So like I'll do the pentathlon basically,
right?
and then I would do high jump last. So I'm already tired and muscle fatigue. And if I can be getting 6'2", 6'3", that's a good day.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, if I was doing an open high jump, 6'2" and 6'3" wouldn't be okay.
right,
Um,
right,
but but if I can be getting above 6'1" in a decathlon, I'm doing pretty well.
right. So are there do you have more interest coming from the big schools for you as a decathlete?
So um, originally I was just doing hurdles and high jump.
Hmm.
So again, like last year was my first year of doing multis. So right now my stats aren't where I need them to be regarding
Right.
multis level. But over this summer, from the improvements I've been seeing, I'm pretty sure I'll be hitting those standards pretty quickly.
Okay. So did you do the pentathlon during Junior Olympics?
So I didn't do Junior Olympics, because I was in middle school. Because I don't think we have Junior Olympics here for high school. We might. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, you got
Uh,
Junior Olympics here, and you got those three big meets now, the Nike and the
right.
nationals and all that too.
hmm
Yes, and
Okay, so
I don't
I
know which
guess
one have which, but yeah.
right. I guess that would count as our Junior Olympics then.
Okay.
So yes, I ran last year. I ran at Nike Indoor, where our shuttle team took first.
Right.
And then outdoor, I went to New Balance, in PA. So yeah, it's definitely when at nationals level, it's a very, very different vibe. Um, so because I wasn't where I needed to be, for myself, I decided not to do decathlon at outdoor. I just didn't feel ready
Right.
100% yet. So I just stuck to the shuttle relay. But then this year, definitely, I'm focusing more on multis. And at each event, I'll obviously be not allowed to do a pentathlon.
Right.
So those days I'll focus on maybe let's just say long jump, to increase my points in a
Yeah, it's tough.
pentathlon.
You can't really do, and again, for those of you listening, we're talking with Aden Bedford here about the decathlon itself, and doing the decathlon, number one, you can't do a lot of them. You can't like do
Right.
a decathlon every week. It's
hmm
just the wear and tear is amazing, right? So,
Right.
you need time to recover. And, so I know out here that they have two big meets out here that everybody points towards. The two biggest invitationals are Arcadia and
hmm
SAC, right?
So
At
actually,
one of those they have
about
them. Yeah. Go ahead.
at Arcadia, we might actually be there this year for the shuttle relay.
Hmm.
We have looked at that. I don't know if I'll be doing multis at that, uh, just because I'd like to focus on the
But they do
team.
have it, right?
They
That's the
do
thing.
they do have it.
They do have it. See, that's what I was getting to because here in California, for a high school athlete, that's the only one they're going to get
Right. There's only
because
two meets.
they don't do it. I don't believe
hmm
at state.
Right.
They-
There was actually a kid. He won Nike Indoor Nationals.
Mhm.
And he came from Cali.
Yeah.
So he came all the way because obviously California there didn't
Right.
have many of those. And I think that was eye-opening for me, because it showed that like he didn't do many preparations regarding like doing an actual pentathlon.
Yeah.
But he came all the way and won.
Right.
So that's definitely something that I was looking at and being thankful that I do have the opportunity to do at least two pentathlons each month.
Right. Well, there's another thing that just popped in my head was I've never had the experience. I've seen it. Have you vaulted enough to where you've broken a pole yet?
Um, okay. I didn't break the pole. It was kind of already a little bit broken. So I would say like, um I use the example, when someone's struggling to open a jar or something, and then you try, and then they
Say I
try
loosened it
again,
for you.
and I loosen it for you, right? So we'll say the pole was loosened for me.
Right.
But yes, it did break. Thankfully, I didn't get injured.
Right.
But I do have a friend that pole vaults with me, and he broke a pole without anyone loosening it.
Right.
And those moments are proud moments. It's not like, oh gosh, I almost just died. It's
Right.
more of like I broke a pole.
I mushed that pole. Yeah.
Exactly. So I had that moment in hurdles when I was working on trail legs, and my leg went up and slightly hit it, and it just broke, and I was like, yes, I broke one. I did it.
Right.
So it's more of a moment of happiness and success and joy rather than like, oh shoot, I'm like that.
I got a good story for you on that one. I was when I went to high school out here. I went to Milliken High School in Long Beach. For those of you that are listening that have any idea where that is, and some of the other schools in the area, Long Beach Poly's
Hmm.
a powerhouse, track and field and football, basically everything. Um,
Right.
they're really good. And so, what was I talking about? Oh, my brain. I was pole vaulting. So at Milliken, we had the guy that used to hold the school record that was broken by a teammate of mine. Had jumped 6'9.5". His name was Rory Katinik, and he went to UCLA where he high jumped like 7'5" or 6" or something like that, and also was a great javelin thrower, like through 240 or 250,
Well,
250 feet, and
would have been a good
he's
multis
in the top
recruit.
10 in both, which is a rare double, right?
Right.
But I was always told that the high jump goes together with the triple more than the long and with the javelin more than anything else. So I was like, okay,
Really?
yeah, I think
I found that long jump and high jump go
yeah,
together pretty well.
it worked for Javon Harrison too, right? So,
Right, right. I was
um,
gonna say, talk
but
about him.
anyway, we had Rory Katinik went, and then we had a pole vaulter named Mike Tully. The Tully brothers both went through Milliken, and then one went to UCLA, and the other one went to ended up going to Houston. Well, Mike Tully was in the Olympics in either 84 or 88. But I want to say I want to say 88, but it may have been 84. But I got to watch him train quite a few times, training with Coach Curran, and not necessarily training with him, but being there with him at the same time. But anyway, one time I was back at my high school, which I don't even remember why. I was visiting or whatever, because I know I wasn't training there because we didn't really have a great high jump pit. And Mike Tully showed up, and he's got his poles and everything, and he's going to vault there at the school. And we're watching him, and he was an awesome athlete. He's an 18, plus footer. I think he won the silver in either 84 or 88. And so he's doing his stuff, and sure enough, he rocks back and just this pole just explodes, right? And
Right.
he was already in the rock back, so he ended up doing like a reverse 1.5 and landing in the pit,
Right.
and it just got real quiet. There weren't a lot of people there, but it was quiet anyway. And everybody's just kind of watching, like, what do you do? What do you say? What is he going to do? And
Right.
he just gets up, picks up the pieces of the broken pole, gets them out of the pit, walks over to his bag, slides out
Gets
another
the new
pole,
pole,
and just
carries
walks
on.
back to the end of the runway and picks it up like this and starts running down. I mean, the whole process was about a minute, I think,
Right.
between breaking the one pole and running down
And
the runway with another
right.
pole. And I was just like, man, that's just like, because and knowing very little about it, I think I vaulted 11.6 my senior year. So I was just like, oh my gosh, and this guy just acted like, you know,
Nothing.
just another pole, no big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of eye opening and awe inspiring all at the same time. Amazing, amazing. Well, so you already gave us your schedule. You already seem very well composed. You work out in the morning before school. Now,
Right.
when it comes to all your events, do you have coaches for all the events that you're working on, or are you just?
Um, so I have our school's pretty well known for distance.
Mhm.
So we have like three distance coaches. And then we have a hurdles coach, but he's on the old side. So you can't
That's nice. That's a nice
there's
euphemism.
there's not too much he can do. So really it's just my dad helps me out a lot.
Hmm.
So it's really just repetition, muscle memory,
Right.
and getting to the stage when you like know that you can, like nowadays I go into a meet and I know that I can 100% clear 6'2" because I
Right.
found my comfort zone, so to speak. So it's really just building that muscle memory, finding where you're comfortable and seeing how
Mhm.
and where you need to build on.
Right.
So to answer the question, no, no, I don't have coaches for the
Not for
events.
all of them, but you have
Right.
some, yeah. What, as far as your jumping style, would you consider yourself a power jumper or a speed jumper?
I'd say power jumper. So I actually pulled up my measurements because you were speaking about how you used a long runway.
Hmm.
And I think mine and yours are actually pretty similar. So I went out 7 feet and then back 66.
Hmm.
But of that 66 feet, I'm bouncing probably like 20 of them.
Right.
So I don't do like the regular like rhythm bounce. I'm
Yeah.
not sure what it's called. But I found that I produce the same amount of explosion and power from when I'm sprinting to like when I'm running or jogging at a pretty
Hmm.
uh fast pace. So I'd say definitely for high jump and long jump, I'm more of a power jumper.
Hmm.
Because there's just no need to really bring back uh as much speed on my runway because I produce the
Right.
same amount of power.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing because, speed when it comes to precise movements
Hmm.
is difficult to control. So
Right.
I found out that I was definitely not a speed jumper when I tried. I was a senior, my senior year at UCLA. I was at the Coliseum and we were going against SC. So that's their home, USC
Hmm.
field. And I had jumped 220, which was 2.5, 7, 2.5. And just a week previous or a couple weeks previous, I had set my PR, which was 222, was 3.5. So the bar went to 225, which is 7, 4.5, which I had taken a couple jumps at the week before. And I was like, okay, now I'm really fired up. I
Hmm.
had a couple shots at this a couple weeks ago. I took one good jump that I remember at 7, 4.5. And I'm like, I'm just going to hit the gas. I'm going to really run fast. And you've never seen three worse jumps. I mean, I could not, I just couldn't handle. I couldn't handle
Right.
speed. I couldn't lean enough. I couldn't,
Right.
my arms were moving too fast. I couldn't get ready fast enough. It was like,
Hmm.
it was really bad. And
It
I
kind of
thought about it
distracts you.
later. Yeah, it's twofold. I think you just have to learn. Like
Hmm.
if you're gonna use speed, and there's a lot
Right.
of reasons to use speed, especially with a projectile. You're turning into a
Hmm.
projectile. If you're firing it up into the air, it's going to go quite a ways if you can get the angle right. So it's like, how do I get that angle right? So it's like, yeah, speed's great, but again, I always teach my high jumpers, I go, the guys that are running slower are going to have a much easier time hitting vertical than the guys
Hmm.
that are running fast. Guys
Right.
that are running faster just tend to
You're
whip
gonna
through.
go more right.
You're going to
Exactly.
have to do more to resist that move. And I
Hmm.
said, and if you still lose, then you have to make sure you're far enough away from the bar so you don't crash into it
Right.
on the way up. Yeah.
So
So,
that's definitely one thing I've picked up after watching and rewatching a lot of the pros jump. Something I never actually noticed before. As the bar gets higher, you jump from further.
yep.
So over the summer, I my PR before 6'6" was 6'3", and I attempted 6'6" actually. Over the summer, I didn't make it because I realized that I was jumping from the same spot,
Mm-hmm.
from 6'3" compared to 6'6". And then just the other day, I don't know, it just clicked. It just
Right.
clicked, and I was like, oh, shoot, okay, I have to back up a bit.
Yep.
And then I did, and it turned out working pretty well for me.
Your parabola changes. That's the thing.
Right.
Is it, as the bar goes up, you're going
You
like,
have to back up a
you're
bit.
trying to go
Hmm.
like this. Yeah. And like I said, most people don't hit vertical better as they get faster, even if you're not sprinting full out. You're
Right.
still going to pick up your speed a little bit as the bar goes
Hmm.
up. That's just natural because you're going to be
Right.
like, okay, I gotta. I'm gonna have to pick it up a little bit here,
Hmm.
as it goes up, as long as the rhythm stays right, so.
Right.
But that, as soon as you pick up the speed, the base of your parabola gets wider. I mean, it totally
Hmm.
makes sense. And I always tell
Right.
them, I go, nobody hits vertical better going faster than they do when they're going slower.
Right.
Now, power jumpers are great at converting straight up. Their problem is stalling because they'll go
Hmm.
straight up and then start to come straight back down. And you got to hit a really aggressive layout and then really pull because you don't have a lot of speed
Right.
swinging you through there. You see the single armers run through and stick that arm up there and they just go
Hmm.
and they just
Right.
spin around, because they're going so fast.
So for that, I mean, my dad called it the snap.
Mm-hmm.
So I get up there and I have to snap my legs quickly because I'm not going to be up there for too long.
Right.
So I get up there and then you have to snap quickly so that you're not hitting the bar.
Yeah. Oh wow. We start talking about high jump technique. I'll keep you up all night. So yeah, I've been getting ready to start hopefully sometime soon a sequence of podcasts where I'm just talking because I like to talk, but I wanted I kind of brought up the power versus speed argument because I'm thinking about doing one where I'm just kind of monologuing on it. But
Right.
I do like getting athletes like yourself and asking and saying, hey, what the thing that keeps coming up here is that I've watched a lot of stuff in the last 4 or 5 years now. I think my I can't remember when I got started on Instagram. I want to say 2019, 2018, maybe at the earliest. I got to go back and look at my earliest post. Um, Now I've got like I think I just did my 1700th post the other day. And I'm like, really? I go, man. So I just remember back in 2019, I had an athlete make it to the state meet and he took third. And I posted the jump and it got like 100 likes. And
Right.
it was like, dude, he just jumped 6'9". He was clean. He went 6'5", 6'7", 6'9", and I'm like, how come
Right.
he got 100 likes? And my wife goes, well, how many followers do you have? And I'm like, I don't know, 100. And she's like, well, you've only got 100 followers. That means they all liked it, And I'm like,
Right.
okay, so it's a numbers game. So,
Hmm.
going along from there, but that was part of it. But then as I've started following athletes like yourself, follow coaches, follow
Hmm.
trainers,
Right.
all kinds of different things from speed to plyos to whatever. And, that's the part that is my curiosity always is, and that's why I asked you, like, what do
Hmm.
you do? What power versus speed? What's your favorite event? What
Right.
is training like? It's like, cause I'm always that guy that wants to look behind the curtain and go
Hmm.
see what the wizard's doing,
Right.
who's the mastermind of the training? What are you doing?
Hmm.
And you get people go, oh, my shins are killing me. I'm like, yeah, well, you're probably overtraining. All these things come
Oh,
up, and
I
the
feel
funny
that.
thing is I've done them all.
Hmm.
I've overtrained and I've undertrained and I've hit
Hmm.
all these different combinations. So it's like, but this whole power versus speed and knee drive and all that's like I've learned so much by watching Instagram. I really have.
Hmm.
And I watch YouTube occasionally too, but it's a lot easier to just flick it on and just look and
100%.
see whatever it is. Well, hey, Aden, it's getting late on my end, so I know you're getting up there late, and I don't want to mess up your weightlifting or your
No, you're
studying for
good. Don't worry.
school
I still
because
have
you're
some
supposed
homework
to
to
be a good
finish.
student and get all your homework done and do all that stuff. But I reserve the right to ask you to do this again because you're a great
Right.
great guest, and I'd like
I'd be
to
more than happy to.
wish you the very best of luck. And we'll definitely let me know, like you said, keep in touch throughout, and then let me know how that Arcadia thing comes out because I'm going to do
Will
my
do.
best. I've been on and off the last couple of years with this coaching at Vanguard, where I used to be free to go to Arcadia. Sometimes it doesn't line up right, but I have a couple of clients that I think are going to end up going. So I really want to go. I have been
Okay.
making it to Mount Sac. So if you do, and I don't even know if that's on your list because I don't think they have the deck, but it's still a big to do.
Right.
And there's a lot of money running through there. I keep telling people
Hmm.
it's Nike money running through Mount Sac. And I said, I think the rumor that I heard is I think that in 2028 they want to run the trials there. They don't want to go all the way up to Oregon. So if they can make Mount Sac really, really big and it's a beautiful facility. I mean, they put at least 20 million in. I think it's amazing. Got a huge scoreboard. It's got everything you need. I don't
Mm.
know if they have enough seats. I'd be curious. That I mean, it's a big stadium now. I don't know how big the seating is, but I mean, anyway, it's a big to do, and I don't know, if it's quite caught up to Arcadia yet. I kind of pull
Mhm.
for it. My good friend Ron Kamaka was the high jump coach there. He just fortunately passed away a couple of years ago from COVID. He was a high jumper. I jumped against him in college, and then he was the head coach there, and just a great man, and worked really really hard. So I'm like pulling, for Mount Sac to
Right.
get all the things that they've got such a great tradition there. It's been a big meet for a
Mhm.
long time. But anyway, one of those two. So thank you again,
Of
Aden.
course. Thank you.
Fun to talk with you, and we'll do it again for sure.
Sounds good.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. You too.
Bye.
Bye. And that's going to wrap it up here tonight on another episode of Raise the Bar. We just spent about an hour talking with Aden Bedford from New York. He is originally found out from South Africa, grew up playing rugby and cricket and other sports, and came over here to the States and played rugby for a while. Couldn't find any cricket to speak of, and slowly began getting involved in track and field, cross country first, and eventually found hurdles and high jump, and is now planning on becoming a multi-event decathlete. So had a very enjoyable hour. He's a nice young man, and we wish him the best as he's getting set for his senior year here. His goals are jump 6'10", and he wants to continue on with his career, hopefully as a decathlete, and maybe competing in the open high jump and hurdles. So we wish him the best. And until next time, I'm going to be doing another podcast tomorrow evening, and hope to soon be starting up a few podcasts without guests. We're going to have both sometimes for me just to talk, and then also some more podcasts with multiple guests, which we haven't done since Randall Cunningham popped into the middle of one of my other interviews. So anyway, those things are coming up here soon on Raise the Bar. Until tomorrow, for some of you, we will talk again and talk high jump, pole vault, long jump, anything that involves training and raising the bar and jumping over it, or getting faster for it, or whatever it is. Until then, this is Troy Haines signing off. Thanks for listening.